Hey guys, welcome back. I'm so excited to be here with you all today. I've been waiting to film this video all week because wrap-ups are one of my favorite videos on BookTube. Also, where did August go? I feel like I literally just filmed my July wrap-up, but September is already here, meaning it is time to talk about my reads from the month of August. You already know I gotta do a book stack. The day I stop doing book stacks is the day I die. This month was definitely not one for the records. I only ended up reading 7 books this month. There's 6 here, but I read an audiobook, I listened to an audiobook, which, you know, for me personally is not my best reading month. And although it doesn't matter how many books you read in a month, I'm gonna blame my substandard reading month on the thick books I read. I'm talking to you, 800-page novel that swallowed a fourth of my month. As always, I'm gonna start with my lowest rated books and end with my highest rated. This month I had 1 3-star read, 1 3.5-star read, 1 4-star read, and 3 5-star reads. Starting off with my 3-star read of the month, The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I was a little disappointed in this book because the concept sounded so cute, but the execution could have been better in my opinion. This is a cozy mystery that follows a group of elderly individuals whom every Thursday get together and discuss crime, hence why their name is the Thursday Murder Club. Little did they know though that they would soon have a real life murder on their hands. So then over the book we follow the Thursday Murder Club and the police as they try to solve this crime. Before we get into my critiques of the book, I want to start off by saying that I did love the juxtaposition of having a club with sweet elderly individuals where they talk about murder. Like, that would be so odd if my sweet Boston Terrier loving grandma was in a murder discussing club. I guess part of the reason why this is considered a cozy mystery is because the overall story isn't too intense, but I still felt like there weren't high enough stakes in this book. I wanted something to propel the characters forward to solve this case instead of them just wanting to solve it because that's just what they do. There was also, okay, this isn't the book's fault per se, but there was a lot of British terminology in this novel, which made the reading experience slightly more difficult to get into. I have read my fair share of British books, but still half the time I had no clue what was going on in here, so I can definitely see how that aspect of this book could deter other readers. I enjoy British terminology in books. I love the Brits, okay? I enjoy their terminology in books because I really wish I myself were one. But still, I think there's a certain limit that authors should try to stick under when using these words that us Americans would get really confused by. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to continue the series. There's like 2 other books, I believe, because I did grow to like the character. Oh my god, it's getting so dark. Because I did grow to like the characters and I would probably enjoy reading more from them. But then again, there's other books on my TBR that I could read and possibly enjoy more. Okay, I'll say this. If I find the other books on sale, I'll pick them up, but I wouldn't pay full price for them. My 3.5-star read of the month was Anxious People by Frederick Bachman, which I listened to on audio. Now, if we're gonna get technical here, I did actually finish this book on September 1st, but this book took me 2 months to listen to, so if I want to include it in August's wrap-up, I'm going to include it. I have come to learn that maybe audiobooks aren't for me, not because I don't enjoy them, but I would always rather consume another form of content, such as listening to a podcast or a YouTube video. This book basically follows a failed bank robber who escapes to an open house and takes the 6 individuals there hostage. And suddenly, the strangers there are forced to get to know one another pretty quickly. But it turns out that they may not be as different as they once thought, and instead, their lives actually might be more connected. One of my main issues with this novel was that half the time I felt like the author was trying to seem more intellectual by taking whole chapters to subtly describe a universal truth. Not to seem insensitive, but I don't need 6 chapters explaining to me why marriage is so hard. I got it the first time, and 5 more times later, I kind of just want you to shut up and get on with the story. Also, some of the characters were really unbelievable at times. This book had like the most absurd, unlikely scenes possible, which I like watching in sitcoms, but not necessarily reading about in books. Because with reading, I want to form deeper connections, but it's kind of hard to do that when the characters or the scenes are so unrealistic. And I understand why the author chose to do that, but it just fell short for me. Overall though, the whole story was a fun time, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to everyone. My 4-star read of the month was Someone We Know by one of my favorite thriller authors, Sherry Lapina. As some of you may know, I am a bit of a Sherry Lapina stan. I eat up her domestic thrillers faster than my dog eats her kibble. Even though I did give this a 4-star, I will say I almost gave it a 3.5 star because I felt like the middle of the book dragged some, but I bumped it up half a star because I love Sherry Lapina's writing style and voice, so this is probably a bit of a biased rating. But nevertheless, I will always love Sherry Lapina because she wrote one of the first thrillers that I really connected with and fell hard for. Not a Happy Family is literally gold, a masterpiece, perfection. I'm trying to work my way through Sherry Lapina's backlist so then I can eventually make a whole dedicated Sherry Lapina ranking video. I believe I just need to read her first 2 novels she wrote. Anyways, back to talking about this. I just went off on a little author tangent there. You can't stop me once I get going about Sherry Lapina. Oh my god, I'm sitting on my feet. Do you ever just sit on your feet but then your feet hurts? This thriller takes place in an upstate New York suburb where recently some break-ins have occurred in some of the homes. Although nothing of value had been stolen, which starting off is weird in itself. Soon though, anonymous letters start to show up at some of the neighbors' homes apologizing for the break-ins. But these letters weren't sent from the intruder. No. They were sent from the intruder's mom. So pretty quickly it becomes clear that there is a kid in the neighborhood breaking into people's houses. But then when a murder takes place of a woman who used to live in one of the houses that was broken into, all hell breaks loose as the neighbors try to figure out who is this kid breaking into people's houses, who murdered this woman, are they related, or did someone else such as the husband do it? This book actually reminded me a lot of The Best of Friends by Lucinda Berry because in both we have some mommy drama and some troublesome, unreliable kids. So if you enjoyed that aspect of The Best of Friends, then I think you would probably enjoy this book as well. My 4.5 star read of the month was The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell. There's a hair. It's blonde. Can't blame that on my dog. This was my first Lisa Jewell book and will not be my last. I now understand all of the hype around the author, so let me know what other books of hers you would recommend because she has so many books. I don't know what to read next, but in this thriller we follow Kim, a mom who is babysitting her daughter Talia's child, as Talia and the baby daddy go out for a date, one in which they will never return because once morning hits, the couple is missing. The novel then jumps to the present where the missing persons case has been cold for a year. In the present we follow Olivia, a mystery writer who has just moved into a cottage near the woods that borders the estate the couple was last seen partying at. And one afternoon while Olivia is out on a stroll, she unexpectedly stumbles upon a sign that says dig here. So as any good protagonist would do, she digs there and discovers a clue to the young couple's disappearance. And the story unfolds from there. I thought this book was so great. Low-key, I almost cried tears of joy at one part in this book. I think there's something to analyze there regarding why I've come the closest to crying from reading a thriller, but I'm gonna take that thought and shove it under the rug along with all of the other things I choose to ignore in my life. Anyways, I really enjoyed the slight dark academia vibes in here because the present takes place at this school with this mysterious past. I loved these vibes. If you enjoy unreliable characters, spooky woods, and creepy estates, then go do yourself a favor and pick this thriller up. I'm having a hard time saying thriller today. It won't roll off the tongue. I need to go back to my speech therapist. Feeling a little parched. I just spilled some water on me. Moving on to my 5-star reads of the month, let's first talk about A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I won't stay on this mammoth for too long because I recently did a whole dedicated reading vlog. When I first decided to read this book, I thought it was like a 500-page novel and take me, a few days to read. Turns out it's 800 pages, so that was a bit of a shock. This is the longest book I've ever read, so completing this felt like an achievement. This is a very character-focused novel, and although I enjoy books with deep character development, most of the time I crave quick, fast-paced books that will keep me on my toes the whole time. But a lot of my favorite books are more character-focused, so that's a bit contradictory there. This I obviously thought was great though. I really appreciated how this novel brought to light the little mundane things in life that I take for granted, such as simply going on a walk. I now have a new appreciation for walking because being able to physically get up and walk is in a way a privilege that unfortunately not everyone can partake in. If you haven't seen my reading vlog for this or don't know what it's about, for one, what are you doing? Go watch that video. If you want, I can't make you, but it was a fun time. This book basically follows 4 college friends over their life as they deal with addiction, friendship, trauma, success, a whole multitude of things really. I also don't want to ever accidentally belittle the trigger warnings surrounding this book, so I'm just going to reiterate again that this book dives into topics described in immense detail that not everyone will be able to handle, which is okay. People strongly urge you to look up trigger warnings for this book for a reason. It's very intense. Moving on to to my next 5-star read of the month, we have here Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Before this book, the only other novel I've read by Emily Henry was Beach Read, which I rated 3 stars, so I was a little hesitant going into this because I didn't know if it was Emily Henry's writing I didn't like or if Beach Read was like a one-off, but oh my gosh. This book basically kept the aspects of Beach Read I enjoyed, such as the lovable characters, and got rid of the aspects I didn't, such as the boringness and slowness, in my opinion. Between Beach Read and this book, I could really see Emily Henry's writing growth. In this romance, we follow a cutthroat literary agent, Nora. In all of Nora's life, she has always considered herself the uptight girl men in a small town trope kind of way would leave behind for a sweet small town girl. And while they're off probably having like a big family wedding, Nora's just out here being ambitious, killing it at her job, and riding her Peloton every day like the badass she is. But one day, Nora and her sister Libby decide to go on a little sister's vacay to this small town. And there, Nora runs into Charlie, an editor whom she didn't have the best first impression with because, to put it nicely, he's kind of a prick. But over the vacation, as Nora has to deal with Charlie's infuriating ways, they may, as the title alludes to, fall in love. I've heard some complaints about this book surrounding Libby, Nora's sister, and how some found her annoying, but I actually thought that her character was essential to the story and allowed for the book to have more depth by exploring the turbulence of having and being a sister. Like, I wouldn't know anything about that. I don't have a sister, but part of the reason why I love reading so much is you can learn about other people's lives and empathize with them. My favorite romances and the ones that are the most memorable are the ones that explore other topics and don't just solely focus on the romance. Also, I especially loved how Nora was so unapologetically a girl boss. It's so important for books to continue to portray women as strong and confident individuals and not some incapable beings. I also loved how both of the romantic interests were in the literary field. That's another thing I do love about Emily Henry's writing, is being able to learn about the literary field, something that us as readers may not know a lot about, but directly affects us in the books we read. My last 5-star read of the month was Twisted Hate by Anna Huang. Now, this was the other thick book of the month. This one was 500 pages. I can now confirm that this is my all-time favorite book from the Twisted series. Let me say one word to convince you to read this. Well, actually 3 words. Enemies with benefits. I know what. This romance follows Jules and Josh, and if you have read Twisted Love, then you would already know that Josh is Ava's brother and Jules is one of Ava's best friends. And throughout the whole series, it is well known that Jules and Josh hate each other. They can barely stand to be in the same room without attacking each other with insults. So when their animosity explodes one night, Josh formulates a plan to get Jules out of his system. A friends with benefits arrangement, except hold the friends and keep the benefits. But as we can all assume, their little arrangement leads to more than they ever thought could be possible, aka the banter between Josh and Jules was so witty and creative. Their conversations made me grin ear to ear. I love how the Twisted series books consist of a lot of dialogue instead of what the characters are thinking, which can be great for character development and everything, but every once in a while I want reads that focus more on the conversations between the characters. Although this is my favorite book in the Twisted series, Ava and Alex are still my favorite couple. I'm someone who doesn't really usually have strong feelings towards the male romantic interest because, like, they're fictional, but Alex Volkov is swoon-worthy, okay? I know people have their opinions on him, but nothing's gonna change my opinion. Alright, so here's once again all the books I ended up reading in the month of August. Stay tuned for a TBR video coming soon. I know, I have never done a TBR video. That is because I'm a textbook example of a mood reader, but get excited, one is coming soon. That is gonna be it for this video. Let me know what your favorite read of the month was down in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It really does help me, my channel out a lot. You can also comment, interact, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. I'd really appreciate it. I hope you all are having a fantastic day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.